Coming up today, living with stage 4 breast cancer. Hear how this mom is managing her treatment and mental health while still making memories. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Lovell, and welcome to the Morning Medical Update. Breast cancer is simply not what it used to be. It's more treatable than ever, helping more and more patients beat breast cancer. But as the woman you're about to meet proves, it's also possible to live with cancer and live fully.
I just had this gut feeling that something was wrong. Things kind of looked off.
When wife and mom of 3, Jenny Nelson, learned that she had stage 1 cancer, it hit her hard, but she got on it quick.
And so then it was like this fast, speedy appointments after one and after one another.
She met with breast oncologist Dr. Anko at the University of Kansas Cancer Center.
She gave us a lot of hope, and we knew that there were a lot of treatment options.
Jenny tested positive for the BRCA2 genetic mutation, which qualified her for a risk-reducing double mastectomy. Later, it was 6 weeks of radiation treatment and then tamoxifen.
And that was the plan. Just stick with that for 5 or more years and just, watch and see.
But hope turned to dread when a year and a half later, Jenny's cancer returned. This time, it was stage 4.
We did a bone biopsy, and it was my breast cancer had metastasized to my bones.
She met with Dr. O'Day once again.
She has a great plan for medication, and so I'm doing that. And now I'm stable. My cancer's there, but my body is healing. My bones are healing.
Meaning that Jenny is now living with cancer and doing some reliving.
And I choose you to walk down life's path.
I felt like royalty. I felt beautiful.
Through the organization Hitched Hands Helping, Jenny and her husband Nick, they were gifted a wedding renewal ceremony, solidifying the vow in sickness and in health.
It's like the day was a time capsule for our family. Yes, this is what love looks like. This is what family looks like. And I felt special, and cancer did not touch that day.
While her cancer team helps keep Jenny's cancer at bay, Jenny puts it in its place.
So if I reframe it as, yeah, I have cancer, and short of a miracle from the Lord, I will always have cancer. However, I can live with cancer. I can find ways to participate and live and breathe and engage with my kids and my husband and live a very full life.
And we just wanted to let you know, since we put that story together, it has not exactly been smooth sailing for Jenny. It's been a challenge to keep her cancer at bay, but we are so glad that she is here with us to continue to share her story. Jenny is in studio with us, and how are you feeling today?
I feel very strong and very blessed to be here.
Strong and blessed. You can't get better than that, right?
That's right.
We're also happy to highlight the importance of mental health with Dr. Marcus Alt, an Anko Psychologist at the University of Kansas Cancer Center, who works exclusively with patients living with cancer. Great to have you.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
We're also connected this morning with breast medical oncologist Dr. Anko. She is the medical director of breast cancer survivorship. Hello, good morning. She joins us from the Women's Cancer Center at the University of Kansas Cancer Center in Overland Park. Dr. O'Day, good morning to you.
Good morning. It's so good to see you both.
Well, we're glad to have you. We'll get with you in just one moment. Want to check in with Jenny. You've been through a lot, to put it lightly. We've talked a lot about this, but let's start with that. Let's start with something really good, that ceremony, that time that you felt like royalty. Let's go back to that.
Absolutely. It was amazing. It was incredible. Yeah, this was put on by a non-for-profit called Wish Upon a Wedding, and then Hitched Helping Hands put it on here in Kansas City, and it was remarkable. It was a day full of joy and laughter, and these vendors in Kansas City all put in their specialties, and they just put on this remarkable wedding renewal for our family.
Dancing,
yes.
Kissing, playing the ukulele.
Yes, my mom and my daughter and I, we sang a song there, and I started playing the ukulele back during COVID, and we got to sing a song, and we said our wedding vows together and just had the best day ever.
Best day
It's a beautiful
ever.
gift.
And you described it as a time capsule for your family. I think that's such a great way to describe it. Dr. Alt, how do those big family-focused events like this vow renewal help people who are living with cancer?
Yeah, I think one of the things that it highlights is what I call prioritizing the priorities, right? Oftentimes, unfortunately, as folks are going through cancer treatment, it requires so many resources, so much time, so much energy. And one of the things that can happen is kind of the values, the priorities kind of get nudged to the sideline. And so this is an example of Jenny prioritizing the priorities in her life, her family, her faith, friends, loved ones.
Living in the moment.
Living in the moment, absolutely.
Jenny, there was the original diagnosis and treatment that unfortunately we learned about the recurrence in that story. What symptoms were you feeling that you then knew that this had returned?
Yeah, so 4 years ago was stage 1, and then 2 years ago I started having hip pain, and I went and saw a chiropractor, and then it wasn't getting better. And so that's when I talked to O'Day and was like, something is going on here. And so she was on it from the beginning and said, okay, let's look into this. And so that's when we figured out that it had come back. And
that's where we left off in the story when we first met with you. Do you mind just sharing where you're at today?
Yeah, just since then, things have progressed, and unfortunately, it's just spread to different places, and I am now on chemo, and it's going really well. We are happy to say that things are looking better, but my treatment now is every 3 weeks, so I'm on Enhertu chemo, so I'll go in and get treatment, and that's week 1, so I'll feel a little bit crummy there for a couple days, sleep, some nausea, and then week 2, I will start to feel pretty much back to normal. Week 3, I'm completely back to myself, and then if my numbers look good, then I'll go back and get treatment again. So I'm on an every 3-week cycle, and I check in with Dr. O'Day, and we just see how I'm managing, and if things are going well, then we continue. If things are not going well, then we adjust and make course adjustments. And so yeah.
Well, let's check in with Dr. Ann O'Day, who you call the boss.
I call her the breast boss.
The
She's
breast
amazing.
boss. Dr. Alt even called you the boss. He said he remembered working with you originally, and so they said she is the boss. So, Dr. O'Day, treatment for metastatic breast cancer, of course, has come a long way. Can you explain medically what Jenny has been facing and the treatments helping her manage right now?
Yeah, Jenny, of course, as you can see, from your conversations with her, from the video package, she's such a warrior. She and her family have so much faith, so much strength, and they bring that into each and every visit. It shines through in her. She's really an inspiration to all of us, to all of our staff, our team, our nursing staff. We were all able to go and be there and be a part of the party to celebrate her vow renewal, and it was such an honor and such a privilege. And I appreciate Dr. Alt so much in partnering with us and helping her, as he says, prioritize the priorities. I love that so much. And that's really our goal when we're treating advanced breast cancer, is to help patients live as long as they possibly can, but to live as best as they possibly can. And that means using treatments to try to slow down or minimize symptoms that they might have from their breast cancer. In Jenny's case, her cancer is extremely vigilant, and she has done everything she can to stay on top of it, and is now using a new medication, which is in a new class of drugs called antibody drug conjugates. It's one of the most important new classes of medicines in the treatment of cancer. It allows us to deliver chemotherapy in a targeted way to the breast cancer cells at high concentrations, and luckily it's working well. It's working well for Jenny.
Dr. O'Day, bone metastases can be really painful, as we hear from patients often. How can radiation help, even if the goal is not to use that to cure the cancer?
Right, radiation is an incredibly important tool, especially when it comes to palliating or trying to help with pain relief or prevent bones from breaking. And our radiation oncologists have very targeted techniques to allow them to treat areas where cancer is affecting the bone, and that often causes a scarring or sclerotic reaction that kind of reinforces the bone and helps prevent pain, nerve infiltration, breaking, and so on. So that is an important way that sometimes we're able to help patients with their pain and minimize the amount of pain medicine and other things that they have to take, which might make them tired and make it more difficult for them to be present in their daily life with their families.
Jenny, what kind of side effects are you dealing with?
Well, I would say the pain of my joints. I do have hip pain and joint pain. I take Xgeva, which can help with that. Just overall bone, just strengthening the bones. But sometimes that can cause some joint pain as well. But that's overall just kind of some achiness. With the chemo, I do have some nausea and some overall fatigue. I just sleep more. I have experienced some hair loss. I'm just one of the lucky ones. Not all people have that. I do have some brain fogginess, just trying to stay on top of that and just give myself some grace with that. And also my family is good and just being patient with me. But overall, I mean, I'm doing really well. I'm happy with the way that I'm living my life, and I'm happy with the care that I receive from Dr. Auld. And when things start to feel emotionally heavy, I just know I really need to process all of that. And that's when I have regular appointments with Dr. Auld. And he really helps me process through the emotional heaviness that cancer brings. And I would say that without going to somebody, then I would be struggling a lot more just with the emotional side of what cancer brings.
When did you first meet Dr. Auld?
We're coming up on 2 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had to look back because I couldn't remember when it all started. But yeah, almost 2 years.
When I asked you about doctors that you wanted to bring on, of course, Dr. O'Day, then you mentioned Dr. Marcus Auld, and I said, I don't know Dr. Auld, this cancer doctor, and you said, no, he's been helping me with my mental health, and you said he has been completely somebody I've relied on so much through this journey. When did you decide that it was important for you to go see someone for your mental health?
That's a great question. So when I was diagnosed with stage 1, I was feeling really angry about just being diagnosed in general, and I could tell I was taking that out on my family, and I knew that they weren't able to help me process through this because they couldn't help me with it. So I saw someone when I was diagnosed with stage 1, and that was great. It was wonderful, but it was someone who was not a specialist in cancer. And so when I was diagnosed with stage 4, I went back to her, and she was lovely and wonderful, but I knew from the get-go that she was not able to help me. And she knew too, actually, because she was asking me questions about my cancer, and in fact she didn't even charge me for it. We wrapped up and I said, I thank you so much for today. I just don't think that we're in a good spot. And she said, I don't think so either. And so and I looked back and I was like, I don't think she didn't even charge me for this. So then I went back to Dr. O'Day's team and her amazing, remarkable nurses, and I said, I just really need to find somebody. And so they hooked me up with Dr. Auld, and I did research as well. And so I reached out to him, and then we just got hooked up. And our first meeting, I just knew, oh my goodness, he knows my doctor, he knows this medicine I'm dealing with, he knows like when I can be real with him and ask these really big questions, and I'm not fearful of saying things like, I'm scared about dying, I'm scared about my treatment, I'm scared about this, and he's just like, he's heard it all before. So yeah, that's when I reached out, and I knew that this is the place that I needed to be.
You guys just clicked. You clicked.
Yeah, just because of the content.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Dr. Auld, a lot of people are not aware of your subspecialty, and even though it exists, what separates a psychologist from an Anko psychologist?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So kind of technically specialized training. So our team, we have 6 psychologists, 7 psychologists, and a clinical social worker that has more formalized training and experience in working in cancer and health settings. And so whether that's a fellowship or an internship, we spend at least a year or two really just focusing on working with people with cancer. And so that kind of background and that knowledge and training makes us a bit unique. But more specifically, our clinic is just focused on cancer-related concerns. So we're not seeing people more broadly for general mental health concerns. We're just working with cancer patients and their loved ones and families as they're going through treatment. And so we're integrated, we're collaborative with the oncologists, the team members there. We're embedded within the clinics. We work side by side with the physicians as well to really help provide kind of that whole person care.
Dr. O'Day, I just wanted to ask you, how do you collaborate with Anko Psychologists in your clinic? How does that work from your end?
Yeah, so incredibly grateful. We recognize the challenge that this diagnosis brings to patients and families like Jenny, and we're so blessed to have an entire team of oncology psychologists, which can really, partner with patients and their families to help support them as they try to navigate this really unprecedented experience that I always say, none of us are born knowing how to deal with life-threatening cancer. Like, that is not something that is sort of a part of our normal, our normal makeup. And so there are skills that can absolutely be help supported and taught and reinforced. And Dr. Ault does a fantastic job doing that. Luckily, he was able to spend his fellowship with us at the University of Kansas Cancer Center. And so I was able to be a part even when he was going through his training. He was able to be in my clinic, shadowing, seeing firsthand what patients like Jenny and her family are dealing with, learning about the medicines, learning about the tests that they undergo, learning about a little bit about what life is like to navigate as a patient with metastatic breast cancer. And I think that that kind of knowledge he brings into his practice every day, in addition to his incredible compassion and caring. And often when he sees patients, he may reach out to me, and there are things that maybe have been shared that I may not be aware of, and vice versa. Sometimes I will reach out to him and say, I just wanted to let you know that this situation is happening with this particular patient, and we could really use your help and your support and whatever tools you have to help in this situation. Sometimes as psychologists, they're not prescribing, and so sometimes they may be working with a patient and realize that that patient may benefit from a particular medication to help with something like anxiety or situational depression, or even just sleep disturbance, right? The stress that comes with a diagnosis of advanced cancer. And so he will then reach out to me as the physician and say, I think this is a good idea. What do you think in the larger context of this patient's medical care? And then usually that, I almost always agree with him. And then that patient and I will have a discussion and we'll decide if maybe a prescription medicine is right. So those are just some examples of the way that we kind of collaborate together within our clinical practices.
Oh, that makes sense. Brings probably a big peace of mind to your patients, I'm sure. Dr. Ault, a cancer diagnosis forces someone, unfortunately, to face their own mortality, and Jenny mentioned it. What do you tell people who are understandably worried and want to talk about the fear of dying? Yeah,
well, first thing, I normalize it. We don't do a very good job generally of talking about mortality. It's not kind of part of our typical culture, and so it's inevitable for all of us, but we don't have the language typically to be able to talk about it. And so normalizing the anxiety, normalizing the worry that comes with it, and maybe kind of exploring a little bit where that anxiety is, and if there's anything in particular that they're especially anxious about. But I think more importantly, there becomes kind of a shift that takes place in that conversation where the focus is instead on living and on life. I mean, death and life are co-occurring together, and so how can we really make sure that we're living in a meaningful and kind of full way? Given the inevitability and certainty of mortality, we're also living every single day, and so that I think really becomes the focus of those conversations. Meaningfulness in every single day, maybe some legacy projects or certain priorities, as I said before, that maybe got pushed to the side. Well, how do we kind of bring them back to center stage? So that I think that's probably the biggest part of grappling with mortality, is really asking ourselves, well, how am I living?
Yeah, something we should be asking ourselves, all of us.
All the time.
And I'm sure the goals are different for every patient.
Yes.
Jenny, what have been, would you say, some of the biggest takeaways for you in your meetings with Dr. Alt?
Oh my goodness. I mean, every time that I come in, and it depends on when it is, like at the beginning of our meetings, things were kind of in a whirlwind, and then I was able to settle into a pattern, and then things were stable, and then now things have kind of kicked up, and then we were meeting there for a while, and I kept coming in like right after chemo when I was not feeling well, and we had to kind of kick those around our meetings up a little bit at different times. And so each time I come, I'm bringing in something. And so it's hard to say my big, huge takeaways, but every time I come, I'm feeling like so much lighter, because I'm able to take this mess of what I brought and like categorize it into something that is safe and manageable. But what I would say is that and I'm just speaking to the people who are listening who might have cancer or a loved one with cancer, is that it's okay to not be thriving all the time. And like when we're working through things, sometimes I'm coming in and I feel so great, and I feel like I am thriving, and my family is in a good spot, and I'm in a good spot, and I'm working through stuff, but it's like manageable, and yes. And then sometimes I come in and I'm such a mess, and I am not in a place where I'm thriving, and I feel so just blah. And that's okay too. Like it's okay to not be at your best, but like you're in this storm, and he's taught me like, but you're gonna be okay. Like you might not be thriving, but you're okay, and that's okay too. So I think that just getting up and living and breathing is okay some days.
Thank you. That's very good advice. Again, for all of us, just
Yeah.
you don't have to be thriving at every minute of every day.
Yes,
Of course, you're still living life when you're feeling good, when you're feeling like thriving.
Yeah.
You shared some great photos here. People think of somebody maybe living with cancer as they're lying in bed, and this is certainly not the case for you. You're doing
No.
all sorts of fun stuff.
That's
going
right.
on here. Mm-hmm. Show us, what are you, just hanging out with family and being active and
Yes.
traveling still?
I mean, absolutely. Like, don't waste your good days. But my husband said, I mean, one day I was laying on the bathroom floor and just really feeling crummy. And he's like, but don't waste your bad days. Like, we get up and we like go downstairs, and you still eat breakfast with your kids, and you just don't waste the days. And get up and go outside and listen to the birds singing, and you have a purpose. So, but on the good days, yes, like find a way to participate. Like that water skiing picture was this last summer, and I always told myself like, no, I'm never gonna water ski again. Like that is a stupid idea. You have like cancer in your bones. And then yet all of my girlfriends were out there water skiing, and I looked to the gentleman who was driving the boat, and I'm like, is there any way that you could go really, really slow? And there's a device that I can maybe just get on my knees. And he's like, yes, we could do this. And so we did. So figure out a way you could participate.
I love that. Don't waste the bad days either.
That's right.
That's such great advice from your husband. If you have questions, please ask them. Drop them in the chat on YouTube or Facebook. You can also email the Medical News Network. That information is there on your screen. Dr. O'Day, when cancer recurs like this that we're hearing about, is there one set treatment approach, or are there still options and decisions to be made?
No, there's absolutely options, and we're very lucky in practicing today at the time that we are in breast cancer. There have been more new treatments approved in the last 5 years than there were in the 20 years before that. We leave Thursday, just day after tomorrow, to go to the largest cancer meeting in the world, where close to 40,000 cancer specialists from all over the world will be and presenting all of the new research, all of the new strategies about everything from cancer treatment to survivorship to prevention. So it's a very, very exciting time. We're expecting to see important news about the medicine that Jenny's currently taking and how we might be able to use that even earlier for patients with breast cancer, so hopefully to prevent more patients from experiencing a recurrence of their cancer. So it is absolutely a time where treatments are changing, and it's just so critically important to make sure as a patient that's navigating with cancer that you have a multidisciplinary team, including someone like Dr. Alt that can really support you in every way, both with your treatment and at home. And I think it's so important that each and every patient have a team that they feel that they can talk to. That's the most important thing. You have to feel like you can share, how you're feeling, whether it is a good day or a bad day. As Jenny so beautifully articulated, those are important things for us to know so that we can help support her and her family as they navigate this incredibly difficult time. So again, encouraging each and every patient that's out there, make sure you assemble this multidisciplinary team that you feel like you can talk to and share how you're feeling and express your concerns, your fears, and be open to what they have to say as well, with options for treatment or strategies to manage symptoms, whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you. But that two-way exchange of information is really, really important. And as Jenny knows, better than anyone, this is really a journey, and it's not something that is occurring in a vacuum. She's living as a patient with metastatic breast cancer while still being a mom and a wife and all of these amazing things that she is every day.
Well, Jenny, of course, we're talking with two of your big supporters here with us today, but I know there are so many in your immediate family and beyond. Tell us about the kind of support you're getting.
Oh, it just makes me emotional, actually, just like Dr. O'Day and Dr. Alt. It is such a team approach, and I'm really thankful for KU, and it's been such a collaborative team. I've had physical therapy, and after my double mastectomy, just to get me back in full motion, and these two guys. Church is a huge part of me and my faith journey. I've had great support, just people bringing us meals. For 5 weeks, just people loving on us. My family has been constant support for us, and my friends threw a Kick Cancer's butt party. It's just, it is really important to reach out and ask for help. We were not able to really do all the things. We had some guys come and mow our lawn for us. Just ask for the help, because it's really hard on your family, it's hard on you, it's hard for your kids, and it's really good and beautiful blessing to see your kids being loved on by other people. And people want to help. They truly, sincerely want to help your family. So let them in beautiful ways. Just let them. Yeah.
Let's get to some questions and comments from our viewers. First one's from Jeremy. He says, thank you so much for sharing your story. You're amazing. He also wants to know, were there any coping strategies or tools you learned through this whole process or with the Anko Psychologist so far that you have found really, really helpful?
That's a great question. I think actually in the last 2 months or so, coping strategies for me was to make my bed. My grandma would love that one, but just the idea of getting up and making my bed felt like a task that I could accomplish in a day. And then I would go outside every day, whether it was grabbing a blanket and covering up and listening to the birds. Just getting outside was a coping. Writing down things like positive things that I would think. For me, faith was is a huge part of my journey. So I would write down scripture and I would paste them to my kitchen doors or my bathroom doors. I actually recently had my husband take my mirror down. I know that sounds really strange, but it was a negative thing for me. So do whatever you need to do in your house to have positive things. And they might sound crazy like taking your mirrors down, but if it's a negative thing for you, then do it. Dr. Alt, any things for you that you would say is
I think those are
coping?
great. I mean, Jenny's done such a good job, I think, of embracing as much as she can kind of the good things that are still a part of her life, and being assertive around what her needs are, and listening to herself as well. And so coping strategies, they're going to look different for every person. Some like, those real tangible, give me something, like strategies based things. Some are a bit more kind of process oriented. And so coping strategies can look like a lot of different things. I think getting outside the house, doing one thing, if that's all that you can accomplish in a day, great. You accomplished something during that day.
I love that. I love that. Unique. Take the mirrors down, or just make it the bed. Whatever works for you. Dr. O'Day, we're going to wrap up, but I just thank you, first of all, for taking time. I know you got a busy clinic this morning, but what's the big takeaway from Jenny's story?
I think, there's so many things that we can all learn from Jenny. I learn from her every interaction that we have. I learn something. I leave my interactions with Jenny feeling, more inspired. I certainly feel more grateful. I see how she's such a living testament to recognize the things that are happening each and every day in our lives with our families and as moms and as wives that we can be grateful for. And so she always inspires me to be more grateful. I know that when I feel sometimes like, oh, I've been on call for 9 straight days and I'm really tired, I meet with Jenny and I see what she's dealing with and, what she's carrying around each and every day. And I don't feel quite so tired, And so I think she's such an inspiration to so many people. And I am so honored and blessed to be a part of her journey in any way. I think, one of the things that she has learned and has practiced with Dr. Alt and through her faith and everything is, to not carry around this really heavy burden about what we should do or how we should feel, or that we should have a mirror up in our bathroom, And it is, I always tell patients, like, please don't, just should yourself to death. I should feel happy. I should feel more grateful. I should have more energy. I see my patients, especially women and moms, doing this all the time. I should feel like throwing a big birthday party for my daughter. We all feel how we feel, and it is okay to feel however you feel and really just appreciate that feeling in the moment because you're feeling it, and do what you can do. And as Jenny said, if what you can do today is to go outside and to make your bed, then that's fantastic, and that's a win for that day. And there will be another day where you feel like doing more. But just staying positive and keep putting one foot in front of the other, that is a huge example for everyone around us, and Jenny really embodies that.
Dr. O'Day, I know exactly what you mean about Jenny just knowing how to make you feel better. And I appreciate you not just sharing her with all of us, but you shared her with me. And you'll appreciate this quick story, because when I went, and Dr. Alt, I go to interview this woman, and we're sitting there staring at each other. And I was going through a really rough time. And here I am interviewing this woman who's going through stage 4 cancer. And she looked at me and she said, do you mind, she knew I was going through something rough. She goes, do you mind if I pray with you? And I just want to tell you, I'll never forget that. Thank you. You're memorable. Thank you very much. That must not surprise you. That
Not at all.
This must not surprise you
Not at
that
all.
this woman is using probably what she learns from you and her faith to inspire others.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is cancer's hard and emotions are normal. And don't hesitate to reach out, to ask for help, to address the emotional part of all of this. It is not just physical. And so here at KU, we have a team to be able to help support that. But, figure out who your team is in your life. If it isn't an Anko Psychologist, that's okay. If it isn't a therapist, that's okay. Figure out who your team is, but honor those emotions that are a part of all of this, because it's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
You've given us a lot to take away today, but what do you want people to really hear from your story?
Well, I'll wrap it up with a sticker that my 13-year-old gave me just yesterday, and it's basically said, I don't know why that I have cancer, and I don't know why, if anybody's watching, I don't know why you have cancer, and I might never know. But what I do know is that I have a good reason why I'm here on earth, and I'm going to just live that life with good purpose and a joy from the Lord, and I'm going to love the people that I get to be with, and that's it. That's it. Because I don't want to waste my time being angry, and I don't want to waste my time being sad. Are there times for sadness? Yes. And I'm gonna sit with it, and I'm gonna give cancer time to do that, and then I'm gonna say, that's enough for today, and move it aside, and then enjoy the life I do have, and take that medicine that helps me with the pain, yeah, and say yes to opportunities like this to help someone else.
Yeah, people are listening. And we just appreciate you fighting the good fight and keeping after it and doing what you're doing. So thank you, Dr.
And thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr.
Of
All.
course.
Beautiful
Thanks
work.
to
Of
everybody. And Dr. O'Day, I know she had to run, but I just want to thank all of our guests. This has just been such a great conversation, and just what a great way to start out our week. So thank you for being here. Thank you to all of our guests, and thank you to our viewers for being with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Medicine is a team sport, and whether it's a clinic, unit, or operating room, nurses are there giving compassionate care. I'm Jessica Lovell on the next Open Mics with Dr. Stites. See the teamwork keeping busy clinics running, plus the career paths for 2 nurses working closely with our chief medical officers. Wednesday at 8.
Subscribe to our morning medical update and Open Mics with Dr. Stites podcast. Now, everywhere podcasts are available.